So some of you may be thinking about leveling up and applying to do another graduate degree, such as Master's in Science or Master's in Public Health, Clinical Epidemiology, or maybe even want to pursue a PhD. These programs are great at teaching you the foundation of the research, but if you're not careful, you are taking extra time learning things, but not getting the most out of it. Hi, this is Dr. Gia. Today, I want to share my experience and the mistakes I made when I did my master's degree. And so I want to share this so that you are not making the same mistakes as I did. Mistake number 1, learning passively instead of actively. So you will be learning study design, data collection, statistics, and when the course is designed, that will teach you things that will benefit you in your research career, not just in your current research project. In your thesis, you may not be using all the methods being taught. That's why it does not feel tangible, because you are not applying it now. What ends up happening is like you're drinking from a fire hose. And so when I used to go to classes, I would type out notes, I would listen, and then when I go home, everything like shoop, goes out of my brain. And so I wish I was more intentional when I was going for classes and learning the materials. So if I were to go back, what I think I would do is to use a research paper as a starting point. So for example, if I'm going to learn survivor analysis class, I would take a research paper that uses survivor analysis as the main as a core analysis in the paper. What I would do is I would highlight the words I don't understand. I would also look at the results, how they interpret the results, how they report the results, and finally go to the discussion section on how they talk about the results and what it means. Now, when I go for classes, I can use all these words that I've highlighted and I can ask my professor, oh, why is this, I don't understand this term, or why is the results shown like this? Why is the interpretation of the results in this paper that way and not like how you taught us? That way, you are more engaged in the material and you can remember a lot better. And the best thing is when you do this all the time, at the end of the module, you can actually look at all your research papers that you've picked initially and see how much you understand and realize that, wow, I actually learned so much out of this. Mistake number 2, not realizing that in order to be successful in academia, there are a lot more skill needed other than the core research skill. There are many things in the research process that are not formally taught. For example, academic writing, navigating a publication, project management, and these are usually learned through experiential learning. That means you actually have to do the thing in order to learn it. If your project is taking really long to go through the stages, you may not be able to learn all the different parts of the research process. What I should have done differently would be to seek out opportunities to join or collaborate other people at different stages of their projects. For example, I could join one project where they're at the design stage so that I can see how they do project planning, or join another group who are at the tail end of the project where data collection is done and analysis done, so that now all I'm doing is to write the paper and see how they choose, how they navigate through the publication process, how they pick a journal, what happens when the paper gets rejected, how do they revise the paper. These are all activities you can learn along the way. Mistake number 3, not networking or collaborating enough. So when I was in all the classes, I had so many people around me. Some were psychologists, some were pharmacists, many of them are doctors. And even among doctors, they were different specialties. I was a kidney doctor, they were pediatrician. So there were so many different specialties out there. So what I wish I did was to talk to them more, get their contacts, learn about their projects. Instead, I kind of stayed alone and kept to myself. Why is networking so important in research? 2 main things. One is research is a group sport and not a solo endeavor. If you look at all the papers that are being published, and usually they have more than one author in it. And when you have a group of people, it's more efficient and effective, and you can get papers published more quickly. And the second reason is about innovation. In research, innovation a lot of times do not come from just creating a completely new product, but more of borrowing things that have been successful in a different field to the field you are in. I know conducting a research project is an overwhelming process, so I made the idea to paper blueprint for you. This blueprint takes you through a 7-step process from the idea generation phase to the paper submission phase. So be sure to get a copy by clicking at the link below. Mistake number 4, not managing my time and priorities well. The first problem is transitioning from a heavy clinical work to research time. As a clinician, we are trained to be a worker bee, and we are oftentimes more reactive than proactive. So what I mean by reactive, we are reacting to external things. For example, we are taking calls, pages, we are waiting for consults to come in, we have how many patients to see in a clinic visit. And so when you go transition into research time, suddenly you are getting a lot of extra time where you need to decide what you will be doing with that. And also in research, there is a lot more strategic thinking time that sometimes doesn't feel like work. And so people forget to allocate time for thinking. So when you start transitioning to that time, you need to do a few things. One is know how much time you are going to allocate for strategic planning, how much time you're going to dedicate for designing studies or doing literature review, data collection, or writing. If you are not sure, you need to talk to your mentors and other people to learn from them how much time do they dedicate, because each project may be different. So you want to hear from the experts and people who have done it before. Then another issue with time management in the research is there is a lot of waiting. So we are talking about waiting for institutional review board to be approved, data set to come, waiting for the data user agreement to be approved so that I can even start looking at the data. So my mistake was letting all these waiting time to waste. I was just twiddling my thumb and then went back to my default, which is look at clinical patients, look at my spending time looking at emails or checking the inbox on how many to see if results are back. So instead, what I could have done is to again seek out projects to work on so that I will get several benefits, create a network, have an output, and learn skills through these different projects. Now that I've shared my experience, I hope you don't make the same mistakes as I did. If you want to learn more skills you need in academia, click on this playlist, and I'll see you in the next video.